1, the later pastimes of Lord Caitanya. And today's text is text 95. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda.
Hare Krishna. So I'd like to thank everybody. This beautiful Puri temple. And been coming here for many, many years. And His Holiness Krishna Mahāprabhu has asked me to give class many, many times and I've refused. Simply because I just come to hear. And Maharaj was recently in Mauritius. And it was a very emotional and deeply spiritual visit. Where Maharaj had not come for 4 years. So all the devotees were very eager to see him. So there was some very, very nice deep feelings that the people in Mauritius were getting from the Holy Krishna Maharaj. So it was really, really very nice to have me come to Mauritius and inspire this whole thing. So again, I thank all the devotees for giving me this opportunity for talking on this beautiful topic of Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta today. So we recite the verse. The verse is on the board, yeah?
Yes.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera karila milana. Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
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 Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana. Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana. Mātā bhakta-gaṇera
Karila milana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana. Sarva samādhāna kari nīlādri-gamana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
Sarva samādhāna kari kaila kaila nīlādri-gamana.
sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana. mātā bhakta-gaṇera karila milana. sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
mātā bhakta-gaṇera tāhāṅ karila milana.
mātā bhakta-gaṇera karila milana.
sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana.
sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana. mātā bhakta-gaṇera karila milana. sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana. mātā bhakta-gaṇera karila milana. sarva samādhāna kari kaila nīlādri-gamana. mātā the mother bhakta-gaṇera
of the
devotees.
tāhāṅ in that place. Karila did. Milana meeting. Sarva all. Samādhāna adjustment. Kari executing. Kaila did. Nīlādri-gamana going to Jagannātha Purī. Translation. At the house of Advaita Prabhu, he met his mother as well as the devotees from Māyāpur. He adjusted everything and then went to Jagannātha Purī. Śrī Caitanya Purport by his divine grace is bhakta-gaṇera Śrī Prabhupada. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu knew very well that his acceptance of sannyāsa was a thunderbolt for his mother. He therefore called for his mother and the devotees from Māyāpur, and by the arrangement of Śrī Advaita Ācārya, he met them for the last time after his acceptance of sannyāsa. His mother was overwhelmed with grief, and when she saw that he was clean-shaven, there was no longer any beautiful hair on his head, Mother Śacī was pacified by all the devotees, and Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked her to cook for him because he was very hungry, not having taken anything for 3 days. His mother immediately agreed, and forgetting everything else, she cooked for Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. During all the days, she was at the house of Śrī Advaita Prabhu. Then after a few days, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu requested his mother's permission to go to Jagannātha Purī. At his mother's request, he made Jagannātha Purī his headquarters, and after his acceptance of sannyāsa. Thus everything was adjusted, and with his mother's permission, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu proceeded towards Jagannātha Purī. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnana-Shalaaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namah.
Śrī Caitanya-Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sundravadipāśatale Sthāvane
Śrī Krishna Caitanya Guru Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura-Bhakta-Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So this is a beautiful section of Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta where Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu has taken sannyāsa. So after Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu has taken sannyāsa, he immediately fell into transcendence, spiritual emotions, Krishna and going to Vrindavan overwhelmed him completely. And he immediately was thinking, and this you read in the previous verses, that he should go to Vrindavan. So he was trying to go to Vrindavan. And in this section of Radhadesh where there is actually no Ganga. So he was being led by, because of his spiritual consciousness, he was being led by Lord Caitanya Prabhu. And Lord Caitanya Prabhu took him round and round. And finally just showed him Ganga, the river Ganges. And then Chaitanya Mahāprabhu felt to Jamuna. And then after a while, for 3 days this went on. And after a while, he was led by Nityananda Prabhu to Advaita Ācārya's house, which is in Shantipur. You know, when you have the Shantipur festival, then the bus takes us from Māyāpur to Shantipur. So Shantipur is actually not very far from Māyāpur in a way. So then he went to visit Advaita Ācārya. And when we went to visit Advaita Ācārya, at that time Chaitanya Mahāprabhu had not eaten for 3 days. So before he asked his mother to cook for him, he had actually asked all the devotees from Māyāpur, from Māyāpur, and also his mother, Śacī, to come and see him there. Because after taking sannyāsa, Lord Caitanya would not go back to his home. Because especially as his young wives were there. So that is just normal sannyasa behavior. So he asked Mother Śacī also to come over there. And then he asked her to cook for him. So when Śacī for that period of time, several days actually, Lord Caitanya, he stayed at the house of Advaita Ācārya, and Śacī was cooking for him. And in the evening they would have Nam Sankirtan, they would have Sankirtan, they would have chanting Lord Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and so on and so forth. So in this purport, you see that actually Lord Caitanya accepting sannyāsa. Previously in Adi Lila, in the chapter related to Chankasi, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was discussing several issues with Chankasi after he had tried to stop the Sankirtan movement. And Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was very happy with him. And he was actually telling him how your scriptures is nonsense. And one argument he used is your scriptures does not have any logic and argument. And so it goes to show that the spiritual principles we have, even though sometimes it doesn't, the higher principles of Krishna's relationship with his devotees, sometimes do not lend itself to explanations by logic and argument. But most of our philosophy, most of our Krishna conscious philosophy can be also understood by logic and argument. Not that it can be understood, but it can be explained to people by logic and argument. But this Krishna conscious philosophy can actually be understood by the mercy of the spiritual master. It is a knowledge that is revealed in the heart of the devotee of Krishna. So in this section, where Lord Caitanya was discussing this issue with Chankasi, he had quoted this famous verse from Brahma Purana, no? Which is that verse? Anyone knows? Aswamedha Kavala, no? Yes, sannyāsa. Yes. Yeah, these 5 principles are forbidden. And one of the principles that he mentioned is forbidden was what? Sannyāsa. Lord Caitanya takes sannyāsa. Interesting. So the thing is, how do you explain this? Explain it simply because when he was talking to Chandkarsi, he was not talking to Chandkarsi about sannyasa matters. What was he talking about? He was talking to Chandkarsi about cow killing. So if you use a verse to explain about cow killing, and that verse has some other things, you don't just quote the one line. You don't quote samādhāna, no? But you also quote the second one, sannyāsa, and you also quote devotees. And then, you quote everything in there. Now you can hear. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so, yeah. So that is the context. That is the context that we use that verse from Brahma-vibhakta Purana. Otherwise it would seem like he talks one thing and he does something else. No, he talked the one thing and he did the one thing. So Caitanya Mahāprabhu, he was talking to Chandkarsi about cow slaughter, and he used that verse to explain cow slaughter. And so in essence, then what kind of sannyas is forbidden? That's another issue. Because in the early days, in a sense, like you see, even Hiranyakashipu, he took some kind of a sannyas because he went for about 10,000 years to do some tapasya. And the sanya and the kind of renunciation he took to do this tapasya, even though it was not sannyas because he came back to Grihastha ashram again, but he was keeping his life there in his bones. So this karma sannyas is forbidden, where someone has to give up food and other bodily needs. And also the other type of sannyas is, there's one type of smarta sannyas in Varnashrama, where people just take sannyas because they think, okay, we have to take sannyas, but without any spiritual goal. That is also forbidden. And even at the time of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, when he took sannyas, before he took sannyas, his preaching was mostly in Navadvip, and his preaching was mostly to innocent, young, and people who loved him, family men, and people who actually had a relationship with Caitanya Mahāprabhu. And it was all play. So in the first 24 years, in the 25th years of his pastimes, Lord Caitanya took sannyas. But when he took sannyas, what happened is he started to convert a lot of sannyasis. He started to convert a lot of different sannyasis, different leaders of different mathas. And he was very, very successful at that because then people would take him seriously. So that is the main reason that he took sannyas, in a sense, because he wanted to establish the glorious Krishna consciousness movement. Śrīla Prabhupada, in one beautiful purport in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, he says that Krishna consciousness brings a dignity to the human race. What a profound statement. It brings dignity to the human race. Because without Krishna consciousness, actually the human race is like cats and dogs race. So Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was preaching wonderfully to the different mathas and the different leaders of different spiritual, religious organizations, and he was converting them. And he was converting them in so many wonderful ways, using different techniques. He converted the leader of Ranganath temple by joking with him, joking way. And he converted Sarva Bhācārya. How? By being quiet. Just by being quiet, 7 days, 7 nights. He didn't say anything. So when someone doesn't say anything, you think, is he listening to me? He's thinking, maybe he's not listening to me at all. So like that. And others, he would convert them by strong preaching, by arguing with them. He was joking with Jagannātha, and he said to him, he said to him, he said, nicely, he said, if your Lord is supreme, then he said, why is Lakshmi Devi always? And he said, if Lakshmi Devi is a very chaste woman, right? She's very chaste, right? He said, yeah, of course, she's the most chaste. He said, then why is she trying to get into Rasa Leela with Krishna? You know? So it's a joke, but he put the philosophy very nicely. And when he said quietly, Sarva-bhūma-Acārya, Sarva-bhūma-Acārya was saying, what is it with you? You listening or what? Sometimes we say in classes, if no one asks any questions, we said either everyone understood everything or everyone is sleeping. So it was like the same issue. So Lord Caitanya then, he said, I understand. What I don't understand is your silly explanations in a way. So Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, after he took sannyāsa, for the first, I think, correct me if I'm not wrong, the first 6 or 8 years, he stayed with the devotees mostly, and he was always coming and going from one place to the other. And why he stayed with the devotees is because Lord Caitanya wanted to show us how to actually wonderfully relate to different devotees, different categories of devotees. And that was his main service, that was his main teachings, that was his main mission at that point. In the latter part of his pastimes, which is in the middle part of the Madhya Lila, you know, he stayed in Jagannātha Purī, and then he also traveled. But what we see in Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and in this particular verse, how he's related to his mother, but also how he settled everything with his devotees. How he settled everything with his devotees. So Srila Prabhupada also explained that he created our ISKCON movement so that we can get devotee association. So sometimes we think, okay, because he created this movement for devotee association, the devotee association is something of an institutional kind of relationship. But actually, devotee relationships is very much, you know, what do you call it? The very basis of our spiritual life. Sometimes you hear in certain classes and you hear that the relationship of the devotee with Krishna is the most important. But if you are a devotee of Sri Krishna and your relationship is only with the deity or your relationship with Krishna, then you will always hover on the lower rungs of devotional service. And one person who is a practicing devotee and his relationship is only with Krishna, how do you call that devotee? So even though our whole aim is to develop our relationship with Krishna, and if we stay on that lower platform of devotional service, or the initial path, not lower but initial, beginning stages of devotional life, if we stay only based on our relationship with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, then we will stay, unfortunately, a Kanishta Adhikari, a Kanishta devotee. There's one beautiful purport from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, I'll just read this. And it is in Śrīmad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto. So he said here, the Lord is the translation to the verse. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee. When the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. Lord Caitanya is an embodiment of this verse in a way. His behavior with his devotees, is an embodiment of this. I read it again. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee. When the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. What do you see in this verse? Description of what? Right? That's a very good answer. But also, what do you see in terms of what kind of a devotee is describing? Right, Madhyamana Kari. So it is, I think, the purport. It is the duty of an advanced devotee in the second stage of devotional perfection to act in accordance with this verse. There are three stages of devotional life. In the lower stage, the devotee is simply concerned with the fill in the blanks, with the deity in the temple. And you worship the Lord with your devotion according to rules and regulations. And in the second stage, the devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with his fellow devotees, his relationship with persons who are innocent, and his relationship with persons who are envious. Okay, let's start backwards. What is his relationship with the persons who are envious? Avoid. He's indifferent. He's indifferent. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained this word indifferent very nicely. And this is also explained in the 11th canto Śrīmad Bhagavatam entitled History. The discussion from Radnimi, I think, with the Yogendras. And this beautiful explanation is indifference means he's not affected by them. If you're a Madhyamadikari and you go preaching and you see someone has a beautiful big Mercedes and he has a nice house and his children are very educated and you still have a little bit material desires left, will you be indifferent? Probably not. You will think, look at me, no hair even, one simple cotton dhoti, and then look at him. So indifference also means not covet, not want to be indifferent, completely indifferent. And if you're preaching, I gave an advice to one Mataji's colleague from also with us, and she was saying that when she works as a nurse, and then every time she goes to the hospital, then she's giving out Bhagavad Gita or Prasadam, and there's one or two people, we don't want, and she's trying to convince them all the time. So I said, Prabhu, what do? I said, you should go like this. There's 5, 6 people, you should be number 1, number 2, number 3, and 4, 5, they are, just ignore them. Like you said, ignore them, don't feed them, don't do anything to them. Because they are actually envious, and go to number 6 and 7 and give them. And then they will, after a while, they will start to think, why did you give me? He said, no, you don't need. You don't need. Because they're envious, and they will actually create more offenses. So that's actually what he does. And what does the Madhyamadikari, the devotee, does to those who are actually interested to hear from him? He preaches. Right? What does he do? He gives them Krishna consciousness, he gives them Krishna bhakti. And that is very important principle. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadalpini, he says that the only category of devotee who is authorized to share devotional service, to share bhakti, is actually the Madhyamadikari. It's interesting. And that is a very powerful statement. And look at another verse, another line of prayer that we recite every day, which is Vaishnava Aparadha prayer, against Vaishnava Aparadha prayer, which is what? One? To blaspheme?
Eating the holy.
Right. This is very interesting, Prabhu. In Padma Puran, what does it say? Sadhuninda. Sadhuninda means to criticize the devotees. Why does Prabhupada translate this as this line? To blaspheme the devotees who dedicated their life to propagating the holy name of the Lord, which is not really just sadhuninda. It is a lot more than just sadhuninda. Because in Padma Puran this is just explained as sadhuninda. Right. But why does Prabhupada say this? Because the very essence of our spiritual life depends on this. You're criticizing the devotee who's dedicated his life to propagating the glories of the holy name of the Lord. He is a via media. He is a via media. He is the fruit. He is the agent. He is the person who actually distributes Krishna bhakti. So we say, no, it is a pure devotee of Krishna. Yes, it is a pure devotee of Krishna. We act as agents for the pure devotee of Krishna. And through us, through the devotees who are preaching, that Krishna consciousness is being spread. Of course, the devotee doesn't think like that. He thinks that, I'm just a postman for my Guru Maharaj, for my spiritual master. Why he says that? I was thinking about this verse for some time, and I think this is intense. Because if you offend someone who is preaching Krishna consciousness, you're saying to Krishna, or your message you're giving is, I don't want this person to come and give me Krishna consciousness. Because he is the one. Now, why is it like that? Bhakti is not obtained because you are born in a good family. You don't get bhakti because you have such great punya. You don't get bhakti if you have good qualities and good karma. Because then bhakti will become subservient. Bhakti will become inferior to these janma, aishwarya, shuddha, siddhi, karma, jnana. The bhakti has to stay completely. What is one of the characteristics of bhakti? It stays independent. So it only stays independent if bhakti gives rise to bhakti. But whose bhakti gives rise to whose bhakti? The bhakti of the Madhyamadikari gives rise to bhakti of the innocent people. Right? So if the bhakti of the Madhyamadikari gives a rise to the bhakti, because bhakti, the energy for bhakti is already in the heart of the devotee. You just see the Krishna prema sadhya. Shravanādi Sutta Chite Kore Udhoy. That is, the potentiality of devotional service is contained within the heart of the person. But the Madhyamadikari comes and one day Jagannātha Purī told me, he said, we're just fanning the sparks. It's a very beautiful statement, no? We're just fanning the sparks. I mean, this bhakti, the chingari bhaktika, it is already in the heart of the devotee. So the Madhyamadikari comes and Shravanādi Sutta Chite Kore Udhoy. He gives a little bit Shravan and a little bit of prasad and a little bit of this and books, and he said, come to the temple. So can you imagine the value of the Madhyamadikari in our movement?
Yes.
Can you imagine the value of the Madhyamadikari? So if someone stays on the Kanishta platform, Kanishta devotees tend to cause all the troubles in our movement in a nice way. Because it forces, in a nice way, I'm saying, because it forces us to become a little bit more advanced, in a nice way. No, nothing derogatory, in a nice way. So then we become Madhyama. Now, so we understood that this bhakti principle, how it is important. Now, how does the Madhyama Adhikari maintain himself on the Madhyama platform? It is not just simply by preaching. It is not simply by avoiding the envious. It is not simply by being kind to the innocent. Actually, the nourishment of the Madhyama Adhikari doesn't come from the lower rungs of devotional aspects of life. It comes from the higher rungs. It comes from mercy, from the Uttama Adhikari, from the Guru, from the spiritual master. But if you analyze something, all of us here, say 90% of our association comes from whom? 5-10% come from our Guru Maharaj. But 90% of our association come from?
Equals.
Among ourselves. 90% I would say. Sometimes devotees say 75, especially because in Mauritius we don't get many associations. For you maybe it's 60%, 70%. You get so many devotees come here all the time. But for us, we can say 75% of our association is among ourselves. So how do we develop that wonderful and beautiful association? And the Madhyama Adhikari, what does he do? What does he do with his equal? He develops friendship. One very beautiful example of a friendship among devotees, of course there are superlative devotees, is Noridandas Thakur and Srinivasa Ācārya. Right? When Srinivasa Ācārya and Narottam Das Thakur were from different parts of India. There was three great personalities who went to study together in Vrindavan under the care of Jiva Goswami. Who were they? Jagannātha Purī. He was from, I think, Orissa, right? And Śrī Advaita Ācārya was from, I think, Jagannātha Purī or something. And Narottam Das Thakur was from either Bengal, I don't know which one, right? Three different personalities. Narottam Das, Srinivas, and Shyamananda. But they graduated very nicely under the wonderful guidance of Jiva Goswami. One of them became a Pandit, Shyamananda Pandit. One of them became Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, and Srinivas, he became Acharya. But there was a wonderful relationship between Srinivasa Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur. That relationship was so intense that actually they were distributing, they were reading, they were discussing Katha with their spiritual master Jiva Goswami very nicely. But their relationship was so intense that when Srinivasa Acharya he passed away, Narottam Das Thakur wrote that song. Which song is that? And the last part of that song, what does it say? It says, Ramachandra Sangamangre Narottamada. So who is that Ramachandra?
Disciple of Srinivasa Acharya.
Yeah, okay, so he's a disciple of Srinivasa Acharya. So he's asking the mercy of the disciple or his friend. He's asking Ramachandra Sangamange. He's crying for the association of the disciple of his friend. Now, how is that beautiful? How is that so wonderful, so nice? It's because of the love. So it is not just friendship, but true friendship is born out of love. So if we have intense love we develop among the devotees, then we will be following in the footsteps of our previous acharyas. So it is not just like I said in the beginning part, it is not just an institutional relationship. It is not just an institutional relationship. We are living in the same ashram, so I have to be friends. We are wearing the same type of outfit and clothes, so we have to be friends. But actually that friendship has to develop to a point that actually we cannot live without each other. Because as human beings, we need that kind of relationship. And if we don't have that kind of relationship, we will look for this relationship somewhere else in the material world. Or in some objects, which is worse, in Prakriti, I mean. So how do you develop that relationship? By understanding that this Madhyama Adhikari is actually the essence of my life. Association with them. They're representing the tools, they're representing the agents of my spiritual master to give me support, to give me life, to give me everything I need, friendship, and I'm sitting with them. So can you imagine if we came and we had no other devotees in a yatra? It becomes unbearable. And Haridas Thakur, what did he say? He said, what is the most unbearable thing in this world? To be bereft of the association. So I mean, this is so true. I was serving in England for several years, and in 1985, our temple president, Jagannātha Prabhu, was giving a class, and he was saying he was in Scotland and he had to drive 5 hours to come back to bhakta-gaṇera Manor. And he said something, and he said, I was scared because in between I had to go and rest, and I was on my own. And he said, and then Maya and all of that tricky thing in the West is very, it's tricky everywhere, but sometimes in the West externally it's more tricky. So he said, then I suddenly remembered this one devotee had to go to the manor. So I said, oh, you come with me? And he said, all throughout I felt enlightened. He was a young devotee. And Jagannātha Prabhu was the president of Māyāpur, all the senior devotee. And he said, I felt protected being in the association of this devotee. I felt protected. So, very interesting how we have to really take this very, very seriously. We have to take this developing this friendship and this love to a point that we think that these devotees are my life and soul. And that is what Caitanya Mahāprabhu was trying to teach when within that long period of 6 years he was staying with the devotees. So many other aspects in this purport. Just to explain a little bit of that. I think we have to stop that, no? So, 9 o'clock, is it?
10 minutes more.
Right. Okay, so we will just try to understand this point. That even in the Shastra it says, dharmasya tattam nihitam guhaya. What does that mean? The essence of devotional service, which is dharmasya tattam. Right? The essence of devotional service is contained within the heart of the devotee. Right? And also when he says that one cannot understand the heart or the mind of the Vaishnava. Vaishnava Jivera Mudya. Right. You're all following. So, what does that mean? That actually the essence of devotional service is not even contained in the Shastra. It is contained in the Shastra in the sense, but it is not available to us directly from the Shastra. It is available to us when it is explained by the devotee, by the Supreme, by the who is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how important is that? So when a yatra becomes mature, you will see a lot more love among the devotees. You'll see the love, and the love among the devotees only comes when the devotees become more madhyama. Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning stage of the Krishna consciousness, he gave one instruction to his disciples, and he said, your love to me will be shown by how you cooperate. That's a little bit sort of instruction to Kanishta, the neophyte devotees, because you have to cooperate. But because there was inability for cooperation, so competition and all the other material inabilities that exist in the material world will also come because we come from the material world. We don't drop from Vaikuntha and peace gone. So we have all these different things, but we have to develop that love among ourselves. But that takes a little bit of time. That takes a little bit of time, just like the mango will become ripe and sweet by being attached, by staying attached to the tree, to the branch of the tree, and being nourished by the sun and nourished by water from the roots. So similarly, that takes a little bit of time, but you have to work on it. It doesn't happen by itself. You have to understand these principles of devotional service. And Caitanya-caritāmṛta beautifully explains how we can deal with devotees in a nice, loving way. Sometimes the acharyas have put everything in nutshells or in small pills, like, very essence of our spiritual life, the Jivedvaya, Nāmi-ruci, and Vaishnava Sevan. Yes, we have Jivedvaya, we preach, and we have Nāmi-ruci, which is not so easy to get, but we try to develop a taste for chanting. And Vaishnava Sevan, we serve the devotees of Krishna. How do we serve? We can serve in a mechanistic way, or we can love. When we start to love our friends, we love our devotees, and we try to give them support and friendship, right? That is actually acting according to this Madhyama platform, which is shown by Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So I don't want to take more time. We will leave some time for some reflections. Jagannātha Purī His here, and so many devotees are here, so I thank you again very much. So if you want to, make some reflections, some comments, or some questions.
Hare Krishna, Dhanyavad. I speak Hindi.
Yes, I understand.
You understand? Thank you.
What
Or somebody can translate.
No, I can understand.
तो आज के बयान में है माता भक्त करेर कहाँ करीला मिलन में कि भगवान चैतन्य ने संन्यास ले लिया है तो अब और माता से भी दूर हो गए हैं और जो नवदीप के भक्त हैं उन सबसे भी दूर हो गए हैं। तो ये बहुत बड़ी मार्मिक घटना है कि अब भगवान माता और सब भक्तों से मिले हैं। और कहाँ पर मिले हैं? अद्वैत के घर में मिले, शांतिपुर में मिले हैं और पत्नी से नहीं मिले। विधि यही है कि भगवान जो है सन्यासी हो गए हैं तो पत्नी को नहीं बुलाया गया है, विष्णु प्रिय को नहीं बुलाया गया है, माता को और भक्तों को बुलाया गया है। और माता से मिले हैं तो भक्तों की जो है सभा में, भक्तों के बीच में मिले हैं अपने संन्यास की रक्षा के लिए। तो संन्यास की रक्षा की विधि यही है कि भक्तों के साथ मिले माता से। और माता का एक अलग अलग पक्ष है, माता का एक अलग पक्ष है कि श्री चैतन्य ने जो संन्यास लिया है ये बहुत बड़ा जो है अन्याय है, माता के साथ बहुत बड़ा अन्याय है। और वैसे ही कहा गया है माता ऐसे गृहे नास्ति भार्या आचार्य वादिनी अरण्यम तेल गंतव्यम यथा रण्यम तथा गृह, कि जिसके घर में माता नहीं है, माता हमेशा अपने पुत्र से स्नेह करती है, माता का स्नेह ना मिले किसी को अपने घर में, और पत्नी जो है प्रिय वचन ना बोले, पत्नी अप्रिय वचन बोले, माता घर में नहीं है, पत्नी अप्रिय बातें बोलती है तो उसको घर छोड़ देना चाहिए, बंद रहना चाहिए, क्योंकि फिर तो जैसा घर है वैसा ही बन। तो यहाँ से चैतन्य महाप्रभु के साथ में बिल्कुल मतलब अनुकूल परिस्थितियाँ हैं कि माता है घर में जो स्नेह से भरी हुई है और जो पत्नी है वो पूरी समर्पित है, तो भी भगवान चैतन्य ने अपने घर को छोड़ा है, संन्यास लिया है, तो संसार का उद्धार करने के लिए भगवान ने किया है। अब यहाँ पर माता के साथ में भक्तों के बीच में भगवान जो मिल रहे हैं, तो यहाँ पर क्या है कि जितना भी तनाव है वो सब जो है शांत हुआ। तो ये घटना ऐसी है जिसमें पूरा तनाव शांत हुआ, जो सब लोग तनाव में थे, बहुत ज़्यादा तनाव में थे कि भगवान ने जो है संन्यास लिया तो किसी को भी सूचना नहीं दी, केवल 5 लोगों को पता था और किसी को सूचना नहीं दी। अब जो है सन्यासी के रूप में आए हुए हैं और माता के ऊपर भी बहुत बड़ा है एक शोक का भार है कि पुत्र ने संन्यास ले लिया है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में भगवान ने माता के ऊपर पूरा निर्णय छोड़ दिया कि अब माता तुम जैसा आदेश दूंगी मैं वैसे ही करूँगा। अब अगर तुम कहो कि मैं आ जाऊँ घर में वापस तो मैं घर में भी वापस आ जाऊँ। तो भगवान ने माता के ऊपर इतना मतलब छोड़ दिया पूरा निर्णय कि अब आप जैसा कहोगे वैसा मैं करूँगा। ये चूँकि भक्तों के बीच में तो सुरक्षित, और माता फिर विचार करने लगेगी, माता विचार करने लगी अगर मेरे आदेश से श्री चैतन्य अगर घर में आ गए, अब संन्यास लेने के बाद फिर गृहस्थ आश्रम में आए तो बड़ी लज्जा की बात होगी और लोगों के बीच में बड़ी निंदा होगी, मेरे पुत्र की निंदा होगी, तो मैं सहन नहीं कर सकती। तो माता ने स्वयं फिर अपनी ओर से त्याग किया कि ठीक है अब जो है मैं आज्ञा नहीं दूंगी कि तुम गृहस्थ आश्रम में वापस आओ। लेकिन हाँ माता ने कहा कि तुम जगन्नाथपुरी में रहोगे, तो जगन्नाथपुरी से आने जाने वाले बहुत लोग होते हैं जो जगन्नाथपुरी से मायापुर आते जाते हैं, तो तुम्हारा समाचार मुझे मिलता रहेगा। तो इस तरह से समाधान हो गया, सर्व समाधान हो गया। तो पूरा समाधान हो गया कि भगवान जगन्नाथपुरी में रहेंगे तो मायापुर से भी भक्त लोग आते रहेंगे जाते रहेंगे, तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु की संगति मिलती रहेगी और माता को भी जो है समाचार मिलता रहेगा चैतन्य महाप्रभु का। इस प्रकार से सब कुछ सेटलमेंट हो गया, सेटलमेंट हो गया। ये तो बहुत बड़ा जो है एक धक्का या सदमा कहें जो कि दिमाग के ऊपर जो है मतलब वो बना हुआ था सबके ऊपर, और भगवान ने बिना जो है आज्ञा लिए और भक्तों केवल 5 भक्तों के अलावा किसी को सूचना नहीं दी तो चले गए और भक्तों से बहुत गहराई से जुड़े हुए, बहुत गहराई जुड़े हुए। ये बहुत बड़ा जो है एक वो था, एक धक्का था जो कि दिल को लग रहा था, चोट लग रही थी, सबके दिल में चोट लगी हुई थी, माता के दिल में बहुत चोट लगी थी। तो सब जो है एक प्रकार से समाधान हो गया और सब जो है तो भक्तों की संगति में जो है ये बड़ी रक्षा होती है। अगर हम भक्तों की संगति में रहें, इससे शिक्षा मिलती है कि हम भक्तों की संगति में रहते हैं तो सब सेटलमेंट हो जाता है। हाँ? क्योंकि भक्तों का जो हृदय है वो इस प्रकार का होता है कि जिससे अपनी भक्ति की भी रक्षा होती है और अपने संबंधों की भी रक्षा होती है, सब कुछ हो जाता है। हरे कृष्ण।